I think my wife has been lying to me for months, and I'm scared of what I'll find next. Okay, I don't even know where to start, but I need to get this off my chest because it's been eating me alive. I, 34M, have been married to my wife, 32F, for 6 years. We've been together for almost 10. For most of that time, I genuinely thought we were solid. Not perfect, but stable. We had routines, inside jokes, plans for the future. Nothing flashy, just real life. But over the past few months, something started to feel off. At first, it was small things. She became more irritable. Snappy over nothing. I'd ask simple questions like, "Hey, what time will you be home?" and she'd respond like I was interrogating her. It wasn't just mood swings, it felt targeted, like she was constantly on edge around me specifically. Then came the lying. At least, what I think are lies. She started telling me she was working late more often. At first, I believed her. Her job can get busy, and I didn't want to be that paranoid husband. But the stories didn't always line up. One night she said she had a team meeting, later I casually mentioned it, and she snapped, saying there was no meeting and I must have misheard. I remember that conversation clearly. That's when something in my gut shifted. I started second-guessing myself. Like, am I going crazy? Or is she actually messing with me? There were other things too. She suddenly became very protective of her phone. Like, extremely. She used to leave it around the house without a second thought. Now it's always face down, always with her, even when she goes to the bathroom. If I walk into the room unexpectedly, she either locks it instantly or flips it over like it's classified information. And yeah, I noticed. I didn't say anything at first. I told myself I was overthinking. That relationships go through phases. That maybe she's stressed, or I've been distant without realizing it. But deep down, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like I'm being slowly pushed out of my own marriage. And the worst part? I don't know if I'm ready for what happens if I'm right. So yeah. I tried to ignore it at first. I kept telling myself I was just being paranoid. People change, routines shift, stress happens. I didn't want to be that guy, the jealous husband who reads too much into everything. But the thing is, the more I tried to ignore it, the harder it became. Because the small things didn't stay small. Her schedule started making less and less sense. She'd say she was working late, but come home smelling like perfume that definitely wasn't hers. And before anyone says, maybe it's from coworkers, no. This was different. Stronger. Intentional. One night she came home around 11:30 p.m., said she had drinks with her team after work. I just nodded, tried to act normal. But the next day, I mentioned it casually, something like, "Sounds like your team is getting closer lately." She froze for a second. Then rolled her eyes and said, "What are you talking about?" I reminded her. Gently. No accusations. And she just denied it. Completely. Said she went straight home after work. Said I must be mixing up days. Then she got irritated, like really irritated, and flipped it on me. Asked why I was keeping tabs on her like some kind of control freak. That hit me hard, because I genuinely wasn't trying to control anything. I just remembered what she told me. That's when I started writing things down. I know how that sounds. Trust me. I hated myself for it. But I needed to know if I was losing my mind or if she was actually lying to my face. Dates. Times. What she said. What actually happened. And once I started paying attention, the contradictions were everywhere. Then came the first real gut punch. About 3 weeks ago, she told me she had a late client dinner on a Friday. Said it might run really late, so I shouldn't wait up. Something about the way she said it felt rehearsed, but I didn't push. Around 9 p.m., I realized she left her iPad at home. Normally I wouldn't even touch her stuff. But I don't know, something just told me to check. It lit up with a notification. A message. Not from a client. Not from a coworker. Just a name I didn't recognize, followed by a heart emoji. And I swear to God, in that moment, everything inside me just dropped. I didn't open it. Not yet. I just stared at the screen, trying to convince myself there was a logical explanation. But deep down, I think I already knew. I stood there staring at that notification for what felt like forever. My hands were literally shaking. I kept telling myself, don't do this. Once you cross that line, once you actually look, you can't unsee it. There's no going back to maybe it's nothing. But at the same time, what kind of idiot ignores something like that? So yeah. I opened it. The chat wasn't locked or anything. No password, no hidden folder. Almost like she didn't even think I'd ever check. The first thing I saw was his name at the top. Still didn't recognize it. No contact photo. Just a string of messages. And they weren't subtle. I'm not even going to write all of it out because it still makes me feel sick, but it was clearly not just friendly. Flirty, personal, way too familiar. The kind of messages you don't send unless something is already happening. Stuff like, last night was worth the wait, winking face. Wish I was still there. Next time, no rushing out. My chest actually tightened reading that. Like I physically couldn't breathe for a second. I scrolled up. And yeah, it got worse. They'd been talking for at least a couple of months. Maybe longer. I didn't go all the way back. I don't think I could handle it. But there were references to meeting up. Specific dates. Times that lined up perfectly with all those late work nights and team dinners. So yeah. That wasn't work. That was him. And the worst part? The tone. She wasn't hesitant. She wasn't conflicted. She was fully in it. Sending heart emojis, inside jokes, even complaining about me at one point, saying I was clingy lately. That one really hit. Because the only reason I'd been clingy is because I felt her pulling away. I kept scrolling, even though I knew I shouldn't. Like I was punishing myself or something. Then I found a message from earlier that same day. Him, tonight still good? Her, yeah. Same place. I'll tell him I'm working late again. I just froze. That was tonight. While I was standing there in our kitchen, holding her iPad like an idiot, she was out with him. Lying to me in real time. I don't even remember putting the iPad down. I just sat there in silence, staring at the wall, trying to process how my entire life had basically just split into two versions, the one I thought I was living, and the one that was actually real. And honestly, the second one felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I don't even remember deciding to walk over. 1 second I was standing there, frozen, and the next I was already halfway across the room, heading straight for them like my body had taken over. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. She didn't notice me at first. She was too busy smiling at him. Leaning in. Completely locked into whatever little world they had built together behind my back. But he noticed. Of course he did. His expression changed immediately, like he recognized what was happening before she did. He leaned back slightly, his smile fading, eyes flicking between me and her. That's when she turned. And the second she saw me, it was like watching someone's entire reality glitch. "What are you doing here?" she said. Not, "Oh my God." Not, "I can explain." Just, that. Like I was the one out of place. I actually let out a short laugh. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of the situation hit me all at once. What am I doing here? I repeated. That's your question? She glanced at the guy, then back at me, clearly panicking, but trying to hide it. You're making a scene, she muttered under her breath. Can we not do this here? Can we not do this here? That line. I swear it flipped some switch in me. Do what? I said, louder this time. Interrupt your date? A couple of people nearby started looking over. I didn't care. The guy shifted in his seat, clearly uncomfortable now. Hey man, I think there's been some misunderstanding. Don't, I cut him off immediately. Just don't. I looked back at her. You told me you were working. She rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes. I was working earlier, she snapped. This is after. I don't have to report every second of my life to you. I just stared at her. So this is normal? Sitting here holding hands with some guy you've been texting for months? For a split second, she froze. That was it. That tiny moment where she realized I knew more than she thought. But then, just as quickly, she recovered. You went through my stuff? She shot back, her tone instantly sharper. Wow. That's actually insane. And there it was. Not denial. Not guilt. Deflection. She stood up, grabbing her bag. I'm not doing this. You're embarrassing yourself. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. Not because I didn't expect lying, but because of how easily she flipped it. Like none of this was her fault. Like I was the problem for finding out. And somehow, that hurt even more than the messages. Who is he? I asked, quieter now. She didn't even hesitate. A friend. I just nodded slowly. Yeah. Of course he was. We left the place separately. She walked out first, fast, like she couldn't get away from the situation quickly enough. The guy stayed behind, didn't even look at me again. Just stared at the table like he suddenly regretted every life decision that led him there. I stood there for another minute, feeling completely hollow. Then I followed her. She was already outside when I got there, arms crossed, pacing back and forth like she was the one who'd just been betrayed. The second she saw me, she started again. You seriously went through my iPad, she said, sharp, almost disgusted. That's a massive invasion of privacy. I just looked at her. No yelling. No sarcasm. Just, tired. You're cheating on me, I said. Flat. Simple. No emotion left in it. And somehow, that made her even more irritated. I am not cheating, she snapped immediately. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I let out a slow breath. I read the messages. She didn't even blink. They're just texts. Texts about meeting up. About last night. About lying to me. She threw her hands up. Oh my God, you're twisting everything. It's called flirting. People flirt. It doesn't mean anything. I actually felt something break in me right there. Are you serious? I asked. Yes, she said, completely straight-faced. Nothing happened. You're acting like I slept with him or something. I stared at her, searching for anything, guilt, hesitation, something real. Nothing. Just irritation. Like this whole thing was an inconvenience for her. So all those nights? I said quietly. All those late meetings, that was just flirting too? She hesitated. Just for a second. Then, I needed space, okay? You've been, a lot lately. That word again. A lot. I felt my jaw tighten. So your solution was to lie to me and go on dates with another guy? They weren't dates, she snapped. Why are you so dramatic? I almost laughed, but it came out more like a breath. I literally saw you, I said. Just now. Holding his hand. That doesn't mean anything, she shot back immediately. You're reading into things because you already decided I'm the bad guy. I shook my head slowly. No, I said. I decided that when I read you telling him you'd lie to me again tonight. That one landed. She went quiet for a moment. Her expression shifted, not to guilt, but to something colder. More calculating. Then she sighed, like she was tired of the conversation. Look, she said, lowering her voice, I didn't think it would turn into this whole thing. Okay? It just happened. There it was. Not an apology. Not even real accountability. Just inconvenience. I felt this weird mix of anger and emptiness all at once. So what now? I asked. She shrugged. I don't know, she said. What do you want me to say? And that question? That was the moment I realized, she wasn't even trying to fix it. I didn't sleep that night. Not even close. She went to bed like nothing happened, rolled over, faced the wall, lights out. No attempt to talk, no, are you okay, nothing. Just, done. Like this whole situation had an off switch for her. I stayed on the couch. Just sitting there in the dark, replaying everything over and over again. Every memory felt different now. Every late night, every weird mood swing, every time she made me feel like I was overthinking, it all lined up in the worst possible way. Around 3 a.m., I got up and walked into the bedroom. I don't even know why. Maybe I just needed to see her. To remind myself this was real. She was asleep. Peaceful. Calm. Like none of this existed. And I just stood there, looking at her, thinking, who even are you? This is someone I built a life with. Someone I trusted more than anyone. And now. I felt like I didn't know her at all. That thought messed me up more than anything else. I went back to the living room and did something I probably should have done earlier. I opened my laptop, and logged into our phone account. We're on a shared plan. I never cared about it before, it was just convenience. But now? It felt like the only way to get something concrete. Something she couldn't twist or deny. It took me a few minutes to find what I was looking for. Call logs. Message records. Timestamps. And yeah, it was all there. A number I didn't recognize, same one from the iPad, showing up constantly. Late at night. During her work hours. Even on weekends when she said she was out with friends. It wasn't occasional. It was consistent. Like clockwork. I scrolled further back. 2 months. 3. Maybe more. That's how long this had been going on. That's how long she'd been lying to my face, every single day. I felt this wave of anger hit me, but underneath it was something heavier. Humiliation. Like I'd been the only one in this marriage who didn't know what was happening. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop even more. A call. Late night. About a month ago. Almost 2 hours long. That same night, she came home and told me she had a team dinner and her phone died, which is why she didn't respond to my messages. Her phone didn't die. She was on the phone with him. For 2 hours. While I was sitting at home, worried, texting her to make sure she got back safe. I actually felt sick. Like physically sick. That was the moment it stopped being just suspicion or even just betrayal. It became something else. Something colder. More final. Because this wasn't a mistake. This was a pattern. And patterns don't just fix themselves. By the time the sun came up, I felt like a completely different person. Not calmer. Not better. Just, done. That's the only way I can describe it. Like something inside me had finally burned out after hours of overthinking, second-guessing, trying to make sense of everything. There was nothing left to analyze. Just facts. She lied. Repeatedly. She hid things. She chose someone else, again and again, while coming home to me like nothing was happening. She came into the living room around 8 a.m., hair messy, still half asleep, like it was just another normal morning. "Why are you up so early?" she asked, yawning. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel that instinct to fix things. To keep the peace. To make excuses for her. "I checked the phone records," I said. That woke her up real quick. Her expression shifted instantly. Not shocked, just alert. "Wow," she said, crossing her arms. "So now you're spying on me too?" I ignored that. 2-hour call. Last month. The night you said your phone died. She didn't respond. Just stared at me. "You've been talking to him for months," I said. "Late nights. Weekends. All of it." Still nothing. No denial this time. And honestly, that silence said more than anything else she could have said. "So just tell me the truth," I said, my voice lower now. For once. "How far did this actually go?" She exhaled slowly, like she was tired of the conversation more than anything else. Then she said, "Why does it matter?" That hit differently. "Why does it matter?" I repeated. "Yeah," she said with a shrug. "You've already decided I'm some horrible person. What difference does the details make?" I stared at her, trying to process how casually she just dismissed everything. "It matters because you're my wife," I said. "It matters because you've been lying to me for months. It matters because I deserve to know what my own relationship actually is." For a split second, she didn't have an immediate comeback. Then, quieter, we hung out. We talked. It got flirty. Maybe a little more than it should have. I didn't say anything. I just waited. Then, quieter still, we kissed. A couple times. Still probably not the full truth. But enough. I felt that same hollow feeling come back, but this time, it wasn't mixed with confusion. It was clarity. She wasn't trying to convince me. She was trying to outlast me. After that, something changed in the room. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a shift. She looked at me differently. Like she was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. Up until that point, I think she expected me to keep pushing, keep arguing, keep trying to win the conversation. But I didn't. I just stood there, calm. Too calm. And that clearly made her uneasy. "Can we just move past this?" she asked one morning. "No," I said. Simple. Final. "Why are you being like this?" "I already told you nothing physical happened." "It's not about what happened with him," I said. "It's about what happened to us. You chose him over me. Over our marriage. Over everything we built together." She went quiet, staring at the floor again, like I'd struck a nerve. I could see her struggling, wanting to defend herself but not knowing what to say. And for the first time, I didn't care about her struggle. I only cared about my own. About how to survive this. How to make it to the other side without completely losing myself. I realized then that staying with her would mean living in constant suspicion, constantly measuring her actions, constantly wondering if she was lying again. I realized I deserved better. I realized I couldn't fix someone else's choices. It was the hardest decision I've ever made, but I knew it was right. I told her I was staying with a friend for a few nights. She looked annoyed. "So dramatic," she muttered. But I didn't argue. I grabbed a bag, kissed my son on the forehead, and left. Sitting in my car, driving away, I felt a mix of relief and heartbreak. Relief because I finally had control over my own life again. Heartbreak because the person I loved most, my partner, my confidant, had chosen to betray that trust. Over the next few days, I did a lot of thinking. I wrote everything down. All the lies. All the moments she had pushed me away. Every memory now tainted by doubt. And slowly, clarity emerged. I realized that staying with her would mean living in constant suspicion, constantly measuring her actions, constantly wondering if she was lying again. I realized I deserved better. I realized I couldn't fix someone else's choices. I called her that evening. Calmly. "I've thought a lot about us," I said. "I can't continue this marriage. I can't continue living in lies. I'm leaving." She tried to argue. She tried to twist it. But I didn't let her. I didn't negotiate. I didn't justify. I simply stated the truth. And for the first time, she realized I wasn't coming back. The days after leaving were some of the hardest of my life. I moved into a small apartment, packed only the essentials, and tried to rebuild a sense of normalcy. Every night, I'd lie awake thinking about her, about us, about what I thought we had, and about the months of lies. But slowly, the anger faded. The bitterness eased, replaced by a quiet understanding. This wasn't my failure. This wasn't a reflection of my worth. It was a reflection of her choices. I allowed myself to grieve the marriage, the trust, the life I thought we shared. I allowed myself to feel the betrayal, the heartbreak, the loneliness. And then, I started to let myself heal. I realized something important. I had learned how to see the truth, no matter how painful. I had learned to trust my instincts. I had learned that sometimes love isn't enough when the other person keeps choosing deceit over honesty. For anyone going through something similar, here's what I can say. Trust your gut. If something feels off, investigate, don't ignore it. Confront, but don't expect apologies to fix everything. Protect yourself first. Emotional safety comes before reconciliation. Healing takes time, and that's okay. I don't know what the future holds for me romantically, and I'm not rushing into anything. But I do know this: I won't let someone else's betrayal define me. I won't let lies dictate my life. It's been months now, and I'm slowly learning to breathe again, to trust again, and to live again. And one day, I hope I can love again, without fear, without suspicion, without forgetting the lessons this pain has taught me. Because in the end, surviving betrayal isn't about them. It's about you.